Last week, we predicted that unhappy Ponzi scheme victims would consider using guillotines to punish bankers. Just a few days later, Vince Cable, a member of the British Parliament, said bankers are lucky that the British have no guillotines. Ouch! Are we omniscient, clairvoyant, or liberal Democrats? Whatever a liberal Democrat might be. What will the Oracle's predictions be today? Help us see into the future with our special guest, Pierre Briancon of BreakingViews.com. We also have Gina Bareka later to talk about Iceland's new lesbian interim prime minister. And beaming in via satellite from New York City, the man who called the real estate crash, the banking crash, the crash of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and the pending crash in the U.S. Treasury market and U.S. dollar, Peter Schiff. But before I get to them, let me introduce Stacy Herbert. Stacy, less than a year ago, it was hoped that the oil and savings-rich countries of the Middle East and Asia could restore us from our plunging financial markets. While some of these nations initially did throw billions of cash into black holes of debt, never to be seen again. I've actually got a black hole of debt here, Stacy. I will demonstrate right now. As you can see, these are the Mid-Eastern investors wasting their money by throwing it into the black hole of the American banking system. Oh, there's the Icelandic banking system. There's Citigroup. That's a big waste of money. Oh, there's JP Morgan. What a waste of money. Oh, you see what I'm saying? You get the point. It's a black hole of debt. Wasted money. Today, some of these economies and markets are now collapsing faster than those in the West. And they're saying, hey, we want our money back, but it's too late. Stacy, tell the people what's going on. Tell the people more.
Max, the great Mirage. As you can see the headlines, this is no ordinary crash. This is a Dubai Mirage crash. Dubai expats give new meaning to long-stay car park, and bank aid prompts fears over support for Dubai.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Peter Schiff was just in the Mideast. Peter Schiff, welcome to the show. What was your message to the investors in the Mideast? You were just at a conference there.
Well, I was at a conference in Riyadh. I also met with some hedge funds in Dubai as well. And my message is pretty simple. You know, this is just the beginning of the economic collapse. It's not the end of it. The lion's share of the damage to the U.S. economy is in front of us, not behind us. And, you know, my advice is to get out of dollars. You know, stay out of U.S. markets. Don't be suckered into the bond bubble or the dollar bubble.
But, Peter, we've got a chart here that shows Dubai down 75% versus the U.S. S&P only down 40%. What gives?
I don't really have any investments there, but I know that Dubai was up quite a bit more than the U.S. So if you take a look at where the Dubai market is today versus where it was 10 years ago, my guess is that it's doing better than the S&P. But it, you know, certainly had a much bigger rise, and so it's not you know, you wouldn't it makes sense that it has a bigger fall.
Peter, how about Dubai? Do you think this is a mirage? They're calling it a mirage as 62% of the properties in the UAE are owned by expats. And now Shua Bank in the UAE is predicting a fall in house prices of 60% this year.
Yeah, look, I don't doubt that. But ultimately, you know, probably the situation in Dubai long run can improve. I mean, they've got a beautiful infrastructure there of buildings. Obviously, rents are going to come down for businesses. There's no income taxes there. So, you know, there could be a lot of people coming in to that community to take advantage of lower property prices, lower rents, and low taxes. So long term, it's probably not a bad place to be.
Can you compare this to a global Ponzi scheme like the South Sea bubble in that, you know, the investors in Dubai housing expected returns of like 60% a year, as they were last year, despite the 25% fall in the final quarter?
It's definitely still a bubble because people expected oil prices to keep rising. I think this is pretty much what you saw there. People never expected, in spite of all historical experience and what it should have taught them, that oil prices would simply crash as they did over the last year.
Well, what's amazing is that with every crash, there's this notion that, oh, we're not going to be fooled again by this speculation. But, you know, within 5 years, Oracle makes this prediction. Within 5 years, the next generation will be sucked into another mania and another bubble in some other area of the market. Because apparently the collective unconscious, if you will, never learns. There's just the DNA of a human seem to be programmed to speculate and lose it all, every generation.
The seeds of which are already being sown, as we see. 0% interest rates, we talked about, abundant, almost limitless liquidity. You've never seen such a conjunction of forces that are begging for a new bubble 4 years from now.
Right. Well, they're trying to blow bubbles, and they're injecting the system with more and more
To make another one.
capital. But the system is imploding faster than they can inject money. So the result is actually deflation, which is scaring people because you've got deflation in the economy. And as Peter Schiff would tell you, this is what's giving the rise to the strength of the dollar, relatively speaking, to other currencies. But once that money, in fact, does hit the economy in general, then you see the bubble hit the wall and prices start to move up.
Exactly.
Now, here's a headline. Dubai expats give new meaning to long-stay car park.
62% of the apartments in the UAE are owned by expats, and apparently with the crashing economy and the crashing housing market there, they're fleeing the country because, of course, they're unable to earn money. And as you need a visa to exit Dubai, they're just leaving, abandoning their cars at the airport, and they're fleeing.
Did you notice that there were some expats at the parking lot trying to escape, that they were being held back? Or?
I didn't spend too much time in the parking lot. I was just mainly at the beaches and in the nightclubs and the restaurants, and they seemed busy enough.
I know that in Paris, they fell by 9.9% apparently in the last quarter. Are you doing anything at Charles de Gaulle to
Well, the real estate
prevent?
market is more cycle resistant, but you have people, of course, going back home. But as a lot of French traders who went to work in London are coming back home as well, you're probably going to have, if the long-term parking lot at Roissy, Charles de Gaulle will probably be transformed into used car sales where people can trade. People leaving the country can trade their car for people coming back. So yeah, I'm not sure you're going to see that anytime soon.
A giant flea market like Clignancourt.
Like, yeah, right. Why not?
Dubai has apparently been bailed out by Abu Dhabi, and I know that many leaders of Europe are, for example, traveling to Abu Dhabi asking for money from Abu Dhabi. Now, I looked into this because I know they have a $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund. On the Wikipedia, they're saying that the Abu Dhabi royal family is worth $33 trillion based on their sovereign wealth. So, can you put that into context?
Well,
I mean, could they?
I don't know. There are a lot of royals, so but that sounds like a lot of money. And look, they better spend it before it's worthless if it's in dollars, and they're better off investing it in their own part of the world, in their own region. Why not invest it in Dubai and pick up the pieces there and get some bargains? The worst thing they can do with their money is continue to loan it to us because we're never going to pay it back. I mean, we're the Bernie Madoff of central banks or governments. I mean, we're just running a giant Ponzi scheme, and it makes no sense to lend money to somebody that can never pay you back.
Well, they're also buying many of the British banks. Actually, they own 16%, for example, of Barclays.
Yeah.
So if, in fact, these British property speculators are fleeing Dubai and Abu Dhabi buys Dubai, it might be a good way to get their money back.
Yeah, look, I don't know why they want to buy these banks. They don't just start their own banks, I mean, without any of the liabilities. If they want to buy companies, buy natural resource companies, buy the gold miners, buy stuff like that. Buy out some of the oil companies that might be their competitors in the future. They should do something, substantial with their sovereign wealth fund, not just flush it down the toilet.
So, Peter, I understand you saw the Oracle in an airport in Dubai. Was it a thrilling experience?
Sure. It was the first time I got to see it. I was in the Emirates lounge. And there's actually it was hard to get a seat around that television that had the Oracle on. There were several different televisions to choose from, but I had a stand.
Yes, that's the kind of feedback we're getting all over the world.
Yeah.
I think we've heard enough. In this segment, we're going to make a prediction here on the Oracle because that's what we're known for, predicting the future. As Vince Cable now understands, he's quoting the show apparently in the House of Commons or in the UK press. But here are the predictions. Number 1. Are you ready, Stacy? Dubai closes long-term car park. Trapped and bankrupt property speculators seek sanctuary at the embassy. Well, it sounds like the old Vietnam days. Remember, they're trying to get out of Vietnam. Number 2, Abu Dhabi buys Dubai. Well, it could be like Abu Dhabi Dubai. It sounds like an episode from the Flintstones. That's it for the first half of the show. Join us after the break. We'll be discussing ZERP and the end of the age of testosterone.